Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it, What Do I Mean by Self-Love or Loving Oneself? Well, for many years, when life led me through the seeking and the healing journey and such, well, the idea that I have about self-love was directed to the person, meaning to the ego. So I thought that if I take care of myself, treat myself nice, and things like that, that was an act of self-love. If I would look at myself in the mirror and say, I love you, I am perfect, and such, it was an act of self-love. But actually, it was feeding the idea that I am a separate person, that I am a body, that this is who I think I am. And paradoxically, the belief that I'm a person, whether I think I like myself or not, is the cause of all fear and worry and belief that I am separate from wholeness. Self-love, at least the way I am talking about in these videos, is when I stop believing the mind. You see, every time I don't believe the content of the mind, I am loving myself. Because even if the mind try to tell me something quote-unquote positive about me, it's still talking about the sense of person, you see. And the problem is that anything that the mind suggests and anything that has to do with the person will always change. But who I am never does. And when I don't believe the content of the mind, I am no longer judging, you see. The absence of judge is the presence of love. So the best thing I can do in order to remind us the love that I am is to not judge, meaning not to believe the content of the mind. That's what is meant here by self-love, because in reality it's not love for the personal self, it's love for the self, and the self is all there is, which is what you are, which is what I am. So self-love is like love for the self, not personal love, like loving myself as an individual. Let me give an example here. Imagine that I insult you, okay? Well, in the moment that I insult you, if the mind is identified with you as a person, you may take that as a personal thing. And then consequently, you may feel hurt, you may feel bad, and the mind starts judging the situation, and that judgment, you see, is overshadowing love. Now you may feel like you want to attack, you retaliate or something. You see, you're no longer in love, you're in fear, in judgment. Even when the mind says, no, an act of self-love is defend yourself. You should tell him a couple of things, look what he's telling to you. See, that the mind interprets as self-love. You see, I love myself so much that I'm not going to let myself talk that way. And this reminds me of the quote from the Bible that says, turn the other cheek, which is misunderstood of thinking if somebody slap you, turn the other cheek so they can slap you again. Actually, in the terms we're talking here is actually when somebody brings in darkness, turn the cheek is like change the switch, meaning that turn on the light. When you turn on the light, the darkness disappears. So in this case, let's say I insult you, but you're not identified with the content of the mind. You're simply seeing things as they are. Words seems to be coming out through me, but they mean absolutely nothing. You see, the absence of judgment. And then you remain as presence. And in that sense, you are remaining in love, which is what, if you look at a dog and an animal, for example, you can tell the dog, you're a bad dog. And he's look at you with the same love that if you tell the dog, you're a good dog. Because it's not judging. So therefore, that's why it's in love. It's just always loving. We have the same capacity until we listen to the content of the mind, and that judgment is what overshadows the love that we are always. Because you have to remember that the fact that we are all the same energy that may appear as if different parts, the way I love you is the way I love myself. The way I love myself is the way I love you, because in reality the love is not personal, it's universal. You see? So an act of self-love is an act of lack of self-judgment. That's what it is. So instead of looking at myself in the mirror and seeing a body, I'm thinking you're beautiful, you're perfect and everything. I can simply remember that the image that is seen in the mirror is not who I am. It's just simply a reflection of a projection from the mind, but I always am. As I keep resting in the I am, which I am, it's not that I rest in the I am, but again, I'm trying to do the best with words, as limiting as they are. In resting in the I am, meaning in not paying attention to the content of the mind, the lack of judgment, that's an act of self-love, which actually again is love for the self, which is just pure love. And you are love because you are being. You're not a human being. That's when the judgment comes in. You are love, and that's it. And that's the simplicity. So from the moment this character wakes up in the morning, I notice where thoughts may come of judgment, put it this way. It doesn't matter what thoughts are, even if they may seem positive, Even if I think I'm thinking positive about someone or about myself, I am still identified with the mind that believes in something. But you are no thing, you simply are. That's what we're pointing to here. And the paradox is that the more the judgment to the self, to the person, or the more the judgment stops, then the way I will relate to the world is in a loving, kind manner. You know why? Because the way I relate to the world is the way I'm relating to myself. Because the world is me. I am the world, or I am. I'm not talking the physical experience, but in energy, put it this way, we are all the same energy. So the way I judge myself is the way I judge you. The way I love myself is the way I love you. And since love is the absence of judgment, when there is no judgment, all that there is love. And that's all we are. See? So that is the quote-unquote loving myself that we're speaking, at least these videos are all about. I said quote-unquote when I refer to loving myself as a person. But in reality, I don't have to love myself. I am love. You don't have to love yourself. You are love because you simply are. Well, this is the information or inspiration that came through me, so I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.